Messi. Surging forward with real menace here. Brilliant from Messi. Oh, what a goal that is!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Bola Bola Show podcast. My name is Steven, and once again, I am not all by myself, but in fact, two of my close buddies are back here again, co-hosting on this special episode. First things first is Bala. How's it going, man?
Hi, Steven. It's been a long time here. This thing. I'm
Mm-hmm.
well here. I hope you're doing the same thing. How about you, Alvin?
Great guys, and we have a full house today. It's quite rarely we get a full house
Yep,
here,
yep.
guys. Yeah,
Yes, indeed.
yeah,
So on today's episode, guys, is all about World Cup match tables.
Hmm.
I'm sure you guys have quite a few memories of all those various types of Adidas balls that always comes every 4 years once at the World Cup. So this episode we have a very special guest, Elvin. So why don't bring him on board first then?
yeah. So today, we have a very special guest. We'd like to invite Amar into our podcast today. Amar Shah from the UK. Hey, Amar, how are you doing,
Hi,
man?
everyone.
Hi,
I'm
Amar.
good. Thanks so much for having me on. Really good to be here.
Maybe for a start, Amar, you want to introduce yourself? What do you do and all that, just for our listeners?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Amar. I'm currently based in the UK. My day job consists of working within risk management within the financial world, which is interesting, I guess. And then aside from that, I'm a creative. I make digital art. I have a streetwear brand called Among Good People. And I've recently finished my book, which is called Looking for Legends, which is coming out in the next few weeks, which is about my quest to meet my childhood football heroes.
And the main reason that why we're having Amar on this episode is because we want to dive a little bit into about his book called Looking for Legends. So as I understand that the whole idea of this book started around 2012. That's when you really started to collect these match tables. So talk us through, what sparked that idea in the first place?
Yeah, well, I guess when I was a kid, growing up just outside of Manchester, a town called Rochdale, um, from a Pakistani family, sport was always something that was a part of us. Obviously, you'd think cricket, but not just cricket, also football. And I was really into the game. I loved playing, and at that time, the majority of the world's sports goods were manufactured in Pakistan, particularly footballs were made in Sialkot, which is a city which still produces footballs even now. And actually had the most recent World Cup. Some of the balls were also made there for 2022. Um, so football was always there, something I've always enjoyed, and World Cups were, like everybody else, really that one time where you come together, you watch everybody from all over the world and see these guys play and see your heroes play. And that was always a dream of mine to like say, oh, it would be really cool if one day I could meet these guys in real life. And it was just, a childhood dream that you kind of hold on to, but you never really think of it. And then in 2010, after the World Cup, I found out that Adidas had made this special collection of footballs, which were to celebrate the fact that they had already done like 10 World Cups with FIFA as the official ball supplier. And this set had every ball from 1970 to 2010, and each ball was a replica of those balls of that time. So the 1970 ball was a black and white leather ball, and then you come through to 2010 and it's completely different modernized ball. And I found out quite late after the World Cup that this set existed. So it was probably around 2011 I started to look for it. And after a bit of searching, Googling, I managed to get the collection. And then from there, um, I guess the dream was back with me, and then the challenge basically came from that point.
And Amar, when you mentioned about getting your hands on the collection, did you manage to get it all at like at one time, or it's like bits and pieces here, collecting different from different
I was
collectors? Yeah.
I was really lucky because
Okay.
I managed to find them on Amazon in the
Oh,
US.
Okay.
Because everywhere I looked here in the UK and Europe, they'd sold out. And like,
Mm-hmm.
if you go on eBay, they were double the price. And I was like, well, I'm not paying that much money. I like them
Yep.
that
Okay.
badly. So there was obviously that element of getting a good price.
mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I managed to get them from the US, and I had to get my friends' in-laws who lived in the US to have them delivered to their house. And then from that point, they sat there for a while before they could actually come over to the UK. And when they came, they brought them with them. So it was a good like it was probably like 6 months before I actually got them in my hands, like from the order point to actually
Ah,
have them. Yeah, I still had to
so
wait months.
so it's like since you said it's from 70 to 2010, right? So that's like 12 balls in total. Yeah,
Yeah. I think it's 11, but yeah,
11.
10, 10, 11 or 12.
Okay.
Interestingly, how did your childhood love for football and Rochdale influence this lifelong quest? Because I think this very unique thought which you had of taking a World Cup winner signature on the match ball. What made you to actually do it? And how is it from childhood or is it along the way you had this passion?
I think the getting the ball signed was more of a kind of an immediate response when I had the balls in my possession. It was more of an immediate thing, like, what can I do with these balls? Maybe I should, I just said it just for a laugh, like maybe I should get them signed. But I guess the love of football goes back like from yeah when I was a kid growing up because we had that connection with the balls in a sense and with Pakistan and that anybody who would go to Pakistan they would say what do you want as a present? I would always say a football. So there was always that connection there for the game and actually for the actual balls and where they came from and the nostalgia, the smell, the feeling when you got a new football and just go out with your friends. That I guess reappeared later on in life when I got these balls again. I was kind of transported back to when I was a kid.
Mhm.
And I talk a little bit about, I won't go into too much detail, but I talk a little bit more about the childhood experiences and my family. And, my family tried to get into the sports import-export business as well at that time, predominantly supplying footballs. So I go into a bit more detail in the book about that, but all of those experiences and memories definitely kind of lended their hand to, making this a reality.
I see. Yeah, Amar, and speaking about yourself, since this whole thing started off as a childhood dream, why was this really important for you to honor the promise that you made to your 8-year-old self?
I think what's brought it more to life is the fact that I have kids now as well. And at
Mm-hmm.
the time when I did the challenge, my eldest, he was only, he was still very small. He was very little. But I think looking at it back then and having my first child, and it was kind of like, well, this would be a really cool thing to tell him when he's older, but then also um, at some point he's going to be the same age I was, and he's going to have his own World Cup experiences for the first time. And I thought it'd be nice to be able to kind of give him something or give my future kids something to look back on and look, dad did this crazy thing. But then also internally to my own self, you always hear about people thinking about what they know now and they wish they knew it when they were younger. And again, it was kind of like that was the age where I had my first World Cup experience as a child watching it on TV. And
Yep.
I thought I remembered the passion and love that I had at that time. And I thought it would be really nice to think, well, that kid grew up and did something amazing. That kid grew up and did something
Yeah.
that's never been done before. Um, and now, coincidentally, my youngest son, he will be 8 next year,
Uh-huh.
um, at the same time as the next World Cup. And that will be 2026 will be 40 years since my first childhood World Cup. So it's all it's really weird. It's like the stars are aligning, if you like.
Yeah, it's like a
Mm-hmm.
full cycle again. And
Yeah.
are your boys as crazy as football as you, Amar?
I think the eldest one
Yeah.
is like he's 14 now, so he's very much,
Okay.
involved in football, and he's been training with a team this summer, so I think he's going to play this season for the first time in a few seasons. My youngest boy, he's kind of getting into it, but I feel like there's going to be a spark moment where I think for next summer, I think he's going to be more involved. He'll be more engaged, whereas at the minute he's really into Lego. He plays a little football. He's not massively into it, but I feel like it takes a World Cup or a major competition that really, you know, it brings a kid into
Yeah.
it. Because certainly for the other one, when it was like 2018, I think was his first World Cup where he was actually really, really invested. Um,
Mm.
so I think that will happen with the younger one next year.
Yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
awesome, man. Yeah.
And you mentioned this is like 40 years since you first started following the World Cup. So I presume that it has to be the 86 World Cup in Mexico.
That's the one. Yep,
Same,
that's the one.
same goes for me as well. That's the
Yeah.
World Cup that changed my life.
Same, same.
Uh,
And, with it being in Mexico, I guess it was even worse for you guys in terms of the time zone. But like for us, all the matches were played really, really late, so I couldn't
mhm,
stay up. Um, so I'd always have to wait till the next day, like what happened, who did
mhm.
what, how did
Yep.
England. So it was all of that as well. So yeah, it brings back when I think about 86, it just brings back so much. Um,
Mhm,
so many fun memories, and some of it might be real, some of it might be something I've just imagined in my head, but
mhm,
I always look back at it fondly.
mhm.
Mm.
And let's talk about the challenges. Obviously, trying to get these legendary football players to sign these balls. So, what was some of the biggest obstacle that you had to face along the journey?
Um, I think one of the biggest challenges was an internal one. So it was kind of battling with myself to say, are you actually going to do this? And is it really possible? So in the early start, it was a lot of, no, you can't do it. And it's a stupid idea. And then I'd speak to friends and they'd look at me with a blank expression, be like, you're going to do what? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do this. They're like, what? You're not going to do this. It's like, how is that even going to be possible? So there was a lot of that kind of internal, I guess, fighting to say, is it even achievable? But then other than that, it was just you know, where to go, where to look, who to reach out to. It wasn't straightforward as like contacting clubs, for example. So it was quite a challenge to really get any inroads. But once it's like a domino effect. Once you get one good lead and somebody responds to you positively, then you build the confidence back up, and you're like, okay, this is doable. I can make this happen. Um, I think yeah, that was the biggest challenge. Then actually getting physical face-to-face time with the guys themselves. I guess it was harder to get hold of players that were still playing than it was to get hold of players who had retired.
Yeah, so I think the way you're mentioning is like I see like a lot of effort and a lot of timeless, I think never giving up attitude. But just for the moment, were you having at any moment like just want to give up, and what actually kept you drive or keep doing it? Is it some the child in you still want to make it happen?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'd like to think I'm a half. What did they say? When you have the glass of water, is it half full or half empty? I like to think I'm a half full kind of guy.
Okay.
So, and the fact that this challenge was so ridiculous, like it was so, you know, um, crazy to people, that itself made me feel like, hang on, let's go for it. Let's really see if I can make it happen. But yeah, and in the early starts, not getting any responses from anyone or ringing clubs and agents, and they were just being very kind of like, no, can't do this, not interested, and that did put me down a little bit. And I did think about it, it's a stupid idea, forget it, be happy that you've got the collection. Um, but then the other side of me that likes to do crazy things, just to see what would happen, said, no, no, you're gonna go for it. And to be honest, like it sounds like easy enough to say now, but I always believed like I could do it.
Mm.
I just didn't know how at the time, but I still believed that, yeah, you will do this, but you'll learn on the way. There was no blueprint. It was like you'll learn on the way how you make this happen.
Yeah, and that's exactly where, where we are now. Like, Amar, maybe you can share with us here, how did you actually do it? I mean, how do you actually approach these guys? Was it through some middleman, some agents, or was it just pure luck, Amar? And maybe you could share to our listeners as well. Who was the first one? Which one broke the duck, and then that kept it going from then on. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think when I first started, I just said, okay, anything goes, anything can
Yeah.
happen. You basically have to achieve this by any means necessary. So if that means you have to contact a club or an agent, or you just turn up at a match, or you just have to, just be where they are, then that was it. There was no kind of set agenda, but I'd like to think it was a mix of everything. So there was an element of strategy behind it in that
Mm-hmm.
I managed to come across something that really, really was amazing and helped. And that is back in those days, FIFA used to have their list of football agents on their websites.
Oh,
So you you could go to, yeah, exactly. So you could go to the website and you could say, okay, pull up all of the agents in France, and you'd have an entire list of every agent that was registered with FIFA as an intermediary. And you'd have names and you'd have numbers, email addresses. Sometimes you'd have mobile numbers.
Oh.
Um, and it was all readily accessible. I didn't know this. I just came across it.
Interesting.
Um, yeah, so then that was a real big help because I was like, wow, how is this even possible? So, I tested it out. I rang a couple of agents just to test if it worked, and it did work. And then from there, it was like, okay, I need to be a bit smarter about how I approach these guys and, be very clear about what I'm doing and be very transparent because I imagined that people always are trying things with agents and players all the time. Um, so that was one strategy was to utilize that database as much as possible. The other strategy was if I knew a player was going to be at an event or was going to be somewhere, then I would just turn up and try that. But I guess the one that is most I guess the one where it was just pure luck was um, in the UK, we have teams in the Champions League, so foreign teams would come over to London or Manchester um, and play against, Manchester City, Arsenal, Chelsea, and a lot of those players at the time were World Cup winners. So I would just turn up at the ground and just try my luck and see if I could just, sometimes just blag my way in to meet them. A lot of the time I didn't. Like I wasn't successful with hanging around in hotels and things because sooner or later somebody notices that you're not supposed to be there.
mhm.
But then at times it worked really well.
Okay. And so now let's talk about the experience then, because obviously, all these World Cup players, World Cup legends, they, different personality, different characters and all that. But which one, which meeting was the most memorable for you and why is that?
I think I think meeting Pele was amazing. That was definitely one of the highlights of the experience. Um, just the fact that you know, he obviously didn't know who I was at first because he was wondering what is this guy? Who is this guy? Because it was, I mean, I'll go into it a bit more in the book. And I think you, Stefan, you may have read the chapter um, that I sent to you, which was the Pele chapter. Um, and that was amazing experience. Just the fact that I got to Pele and I got to sit next to him and I got to speak to him and talk to him about this project and, get him to sign the ball right in front of me. That was just like,
Wow.
just crazy, absolutely
Mhm.
crazy.
And
Um,
and this is a
sorry.
1970 World Cup final ball,
Yes.
I suppose. Okay, okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was definitely up there as being one of the greatest experiences. But in terms of other players where again it was really, really nice was World Cup '98 winner Emmanuel Petit, France. Um, so he used to play for Arsenal and Chelsea. Meeting him was really special as well because he was just such a cool guy and was just so nice, down to earth. Really kind of gave me the time. He treated me like just a normal person. I treated him like a normal person. It was like when we met, it was literally like two friends just meeting up after a long time. Even though we weren't friends, we knew each other because we had communication before the meet. Um, and then also he let me interview him as well. So there's a couple of World Cup winner interviews in the book as a kind of a bonus. And his is one of the interviews.
I see. That's great, man. And Emmanuel Petit is one of the names you mentioned. Was there any other players that you were pleasantly surprised by their humility, or is there any stories or advice that they shared with you in your catch-ups with them?
I think the challenge has always been like you don't really get a lot of time with
Mm-hmm.
players when these things have happened. So obviously there's been a mix of ways of getting the ball signed. Some have been sent to agents or clubs and then they just send it back to you. Other times I've actually been able to meet people face to face, but it's all very, very quick.
Yep.
I think Manu Petit is the one guy who it felt a little bit more personal. Um,
Mm.
and is a bit more kind of intimate in that, he gave me his time and was very, very chilled out. And, he kind of treated me like a little brother as well because we were in Paris and I didn't really know Paris. And he was like, make sure you get home okay. Do you know where you're going? So little things like that make you think, wow, it's a nice touch.
Oh,
Yeah, that's great, Amar. And I just one more question to add to that. I mean, among all your World Cup balls, right, that you have collected and got it signed, was there any particular year that you got like more than one signature on it? Like,
Yes, yes, I did.
okay,
So yeah, what I do in the book, I talk about it in the book when I'm first starting out, is I talk about who are the targets, who's on the list. And in the
yep,
book, I've got a table that goes through each of the World Cups and it says who won the World Cup and who would be my key target. So I had a primary target and a secondary target. And thankfully, I'm pleased to say that in majority of the cases, I got my primary targets.
wow,
Um, but yeah, there's a few balls. So the 74 ball has been
mm-hmm.
signed by three World Cup winners. Um,
Mm-hmm.
78 is by two, 1970 also two. I think I think three is the maximum. Um,
Okay,
so yeah, I think three is the maximum on each ball, but the minimum was one, right? So it was just make sure I get one. But
yep,
I think maximum, just to give an example, I think which ball is it? I think the 2006 ball has three, and the 2010 ball has three as well.
okay. I think. How about if we go deeper into the book? How long did you take to complete the challenges, and then maybe why did you first and foremost decide you want to write a book after all these years?
So the actual challenge took me 11 months.
Oh,
So I got 11 balls signed in 11 months, which it was crazy to me, number one, to even do the challenge. And it was crazy to me for it to be completed in such a quick space of time,
yeah.
a short space of time. And I think it was, I mean, when I think about it, I think also that because I work in the corporate industry, I feel like some of that experience was kind of was able to use. So I knew how to, I guess, communicate, articulate exactly what I was doing, what I wanted, what my expectations were and have that transparency with some of the clubs and the representatives. So I had no plan to do it that quick or I didn't have any time frame. I just said to myself, I need to finish it before the 2014 World Cup. And I did it, yeah, I did it in 11 months. Um, and the reason, I guess, the book always felt like unfinished business. So I did do a blog at the time. So every time I'd go out, I had a website and I used to write a blog on the website about my experience. And then, so my mind was always like, I will do a book at some point. And then a few years ago, I kind of, I think it was 2022 and we hit 10 years since or 2023 when it'd been 10 years since I completed it, the challenge. And I was like, you know what? Let me, let me like, let me sit down and have a go at doing the book. And my target was to get it done before 2026. And I looked at all the blogs. I didn't like them. So I just started again from scratch and wrote the book. And I think it took me about 8 weeks to finish the book. And then last summer it was edited. And then this summer's been a case of just, finalizing, making sure I got the right printers and cover art and all that kind of stuff. So it's been a long time coming, but I feel like I had to do it because otherwise it's just a story that I tell people. And I thought it'd be really cool for people, football fans for the last 40, 50 years. They could all, you know, they could take something from it, basically.
Mm-hmm. And of course, you mentioned, the prime target of this book is mainly for football fans. But is there something like that beyond football fans? Who else you think might find this book resonating with them, and why do you think that is?
I think if anybody, I mean, people love stories, right? We all love a story of the underdog. We all love a story of the hero's journey. And I just feel like there's elements of this book which will kind of link to those kind of readers and people. So it just so happens that football is it's the main subject of the book. As kind of give you is the subject matter, if you like. But the tale itself is still a journey of, you know, something audacious, something crazy, something that is a dream that's been fulfilled. So I feel like it should resonate with people outside of football too. But obviously, yeah, the primary audience are football fans. But it could be one of those books that a football fan reads and he says, actually, this is a really cool story and a really cool journey of somebody trying to achieve something impossible. At least it looked impossible. And they may know somebody who would like to hear that story. So I feel like it would have wider appeal. And that would be why, because it's realization of a childhood dream, which we all have and we all wish that we do.
Mhm. Now, let's say if we were to rank all these balls from top five, from 5 to 1, what will be your order?
Uh-huh.
Right. Well, I have to go with 86, of course, being number
Okay.
one. And
Okay. Good choice. Good
um,
choice.
yeah, so there was only ever going to be one signing for that ball.
All right.
And I'm very pleased to say that I did get Maradona.
Ah, wonderful. Great news
And
then.
That's your most prized ball, man.
yeah, yeah, it is. It's my most prized possession in the world.
Yeah.
And the thing is, he was the first as well. He was the first.
Wow.
Okay, okay. All
So
right.
that was another thing that was crazy to me that, you know, fate would have it that he would be the first to sign. And
Oh.
that was the point where I was like, this is, you can do what you want now. I don't care. Like I got Maradona and I could just stop now. I was like, okay, I'm done. But on the flip side, it gave me that confidence. Like, holy cow, I was like, wow, I got Maradona. Um, that just sent me on another, it really boosted me. So I would have that one there. I'm gonna try not to reveal everyone who signed them all.
Yep.
No, no,
Because
no, no.
that'll
Understand.
Understand.
be that'll be in the book. But
Yep.
I think after 1986, I think we'll probably have to go with 1970 because it's Pelé.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, another World Cup, which was again from my early days, was 1990.
Mm-hmm.
Italia 1990. So that ball's got a couple of World Cup winning signatures from the West Germany team on it. Um, Fourth, I think 94, because that was a memorable experience in getting the ball signed by a very loved Brazilian
Mm-hmm.
from that squad. And then I think after that, purely because of who the player is, I think I'd probably go for the 2002 ball,
Mm-hmm.
Japan South Korea. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, okay.
Okay, I think the rest we'll leave it at the book, right? And so we really like our listeners, yeah, to get their hands on the book. And Amar, maybe you can share with us what are the plans for the book and when is it going to be out and how can our listeners obtain it?
So
Yeah.
yeah, so I think the probably best thing to do in terms of keeping up to date with things is probably to follow the Instagram page at World Cup Legends. Um, so I'm using that account to kind of, showcase what I've been up to. I'm trying to bring people along in the process because obviously I've never written a book before. I'm a first-time author. I'm learning so much about the industry and how it works, and I'm using that account just to kind of keep people in the loop because it's another journey. I mean, it feels in some parts it feels harder to get the book published than it does to actually do the challenge in the first place. So I'm using that as the main source of information. I'm hoping that the book will be available to pre-order before the end of this month, and then it'll be shipped worldwide from October. And then there'll also be an audiobook, which I'm hoping to finish either this month or next month. And then I'm also gonna, hopefully I've done a lot of art prints and illustrations, so I'm hoping that, for the first time purchases for the first edition, they'll get some, nice little bonus freebies as well. So, but yeah, Instagram is probably the best spot
Okay.
to keep an eye on things.
Okay, sure. We'll put out the link in our description. And of course, as soon as the book is out, do share with us the link as well so that we can update it on all our socials as
Sure.
well for people to reach out to you to get the book as well. And just one more question, Amar, because now that you have all the sets of balls, I just wanted to know that are there any differences on these balls in terms of the size, the weight, maybe you can give us a
Yeah,
little bit of a explanation on that?
yeah, sure. So, I guess the cool thing about the balls is because they're replicas and they try to make them the same spec as what they were at the time. Each ball is very different. So, in the book as well, each chapter gives a little summary of the ball, because each chapter is named after the ball. So, from 1970, you have very much 32 panel black and white leather ball.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, because they called it the Telstar because it was the first, I think it was going to be the first World Cup televised in color. So it had this black and white ball. And then Adidas didn't really, they didn't change the look of the ball too much. Only up until sort of 70 and 74, it was exactly the same ball, but they may have changed some of the material because the idea was to kind of make it more water repellent and things like that. So they may have had some coating. And then you move into 78 and 82, where you have the famous Tango ball. Again, that was like, I think in 78, it was the most expensive ball that was ever made.
Mm-hmm.
Again, they would have had some additional layers to it. And then I think 86 was the last. Um, I think 82 was the last leather ball, and 86 was like a synthetic material they started to use. And then from there, you move into sort of the other aspect is the design of the ball as well. So um, very simple designs from 70 to 82 and 86, they started to use some different patterns. So inspired by the host nation. So it was like kind of Aztec patterns for 86 in
Mm-hmm.
Mexico. And then in 90, they carried that on with Italia 90 ball with the Etruscan Lions. And then 90, I think 8 is when they introduced color. And 98 was the last ball that actually had the triads on it. And then 2002 was like this completely different ball, but still 32 panels. And then 2000 and when was it? I think 2006 is when they kind of did away with the traditional 32 panel ball. They made it thermally bonded and kind of pressed together by machines, that kind of thing. And then from there, the ball just evolved, and it was all about robustness, um, the roundness, the speed and trajectory. And you've seen over the years, last 10, 20 years, the balls have advanced so much.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're so expensive as well.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
I think you'll kind of from the book you'll get a sense of how technology has progressed in that time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure when the 2026 ball comes out, it's going to be whatever they've been working on for the last couple of years. I think what I tend to see is the you might see like a kind of prototype or such would come out, and they'll start kind of seeing it doing the rounds on the internet and whatever else. But then when it comes, you'll in the build up to the World Cup, you'll see exactly what they've been working on. But the balls now, they're just like so amazing in terms of the quality, the kind of the weight and design and all of that, all of the technology that's gone into them now is very, very far from what they started with. But yeah, the book
Yeah.
should give you a bit more about how that has progressed through over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's great. And when you talk, I mean, just talking about the balls, right? I mean, just looking back again, that 1970 ball, right? That's when I look back at that ball, that's that's the iconic football, like as how we know football is, right? If you were to draw an emoji or an icon, that's
Yeah,
Yep.
that's that's
Yep.
the football. That's that before, it evolved into different kinds of design, but that 70 ball was the football, right?
Yep.
yeah,
It is. It is.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is a
exactly.
football in school and all that. Yeah.
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 It's that
That's the
that
one
typical standard. Yeah.
most of us grew up with that ball, so it's
Yeah.
ingrained in our heads.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, any last words, guys, before we wrap things up?
I mean, no, for me, it's I don't have anything else to add. I just want to thank Amar, for joining us today and fantastic insights, sharing with us, this entire journey. I'm sure it's going to inspire some of our listeners out there as well. So, wishing you all the best, Amar, for your book.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on. It's been really good to catch up and tell you a bit more about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. For my end, thanks, Sama, for your time. And then I think it's a very unique experience, and also I think meeting the two best players at the current times, Maradona and Pelé. So I think it's a very unique journey. Wishing you all the best for your book, and so I hope we can catch up soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Same as well for me. Thank you, Amar, for coming on board and sharing your experience. The fact that we know that you already got two goats to sign those World Cup ball. I'm wondering if there is a third one, but we will leave that for readers to find out from the book. All right.
I'll tell you offline, off air. I'll
Okay.
tell you.
All right. All right. Sure, we'll do then. All right. Any last words from yourself, Amar?
No, again, once again, thanks so much for having me on. It's been a pleasure to be here. And yeah, if anybody wants to get in touch, World Cup Legends on Instagram. I'm really I'm really excited to get the book out. A little bit nervous as well, but really looking forward to getting it out there so people can read about what happened.
Okay. All right then. All right then. With that said, we will end this episode of the Bola Bola Show podcast. Do sure to listen to us on all your favorite platform and follow us on various social media. That's all for now. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.